All right, well, this video is review of one-step equations, and this time with multiplication or division. So number 7 is 3h. Remember, that means 3 times h equals 15. Well, if we're multiplying, to get rid of that or undo that, we divide by 3. To get rid of multiplication, we divide. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so that we just left with 1h on that side. And over here we have 15 divided by 3, which is 5. H equals 5. Wow, that used to cause us problems, but now this is so easy. Negative 5 times t equals negative 45. Well, we're multiplying here. I know some kids will think, whoa, you're subtracting. No, we're multiplying by a negative 5. So what do? We divide by a negative 5, and we have to do that on both sides. Those will give us t on this side, and now I have negative 45 divided by negative 5. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 45 divided by 5 is 9. So t equals 9. Number 9. Speaking of 9, we have n divided by 2 equals negative 7. Well, now here I'm dividing. Remember, this fraction bar is a division sign. N divided by 2. How do I get rid of that? I multiply by 2, and I have to multiply by 2 on both sides, of course. These will cancel out, leaving me with just n. And here I have negative 7 times 2. 7 times 2 is 14. One of each, a positive and a negative, gives me negative 14. Number 10. K divided by negative 3 equals 9. So I'm dividing. Dividing by what? Negative 3. How do I undo that? I multiply by negative 3 on both sides. These cancel, leave me with k, and I have 9 times negative 3. 9 times 3 is 27. One of each when I'm multiplying and dividing makes it negative. Number 11. 5m equals negative 10. Divide by 5, divide by 5. M equals one of each, so it's negative because I'm dividing. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. Number 12. 8t equals negative 32. Of course, I divide by 8 on each side. Wow, that was an ugly 8. That one's not much better, actually. But they work. T equals negative 4. Negative because I got one of each. Number 13. Negative 0 and 2/10 x equals 1 and 6/10. Well, nothing changes just because I went from integers to rational numbers. So I'm multiplying here. And to undo multiplication, I divide. So I divide by negative 0.2. I divide by negative 0.2. These cancel, leaving me with x. Now here, let's take these rules one step at a time. It is division, so don't think it's subtraction here. Remember, it is division. So one of each, so my answer is going to be negative. And now I've got 1.6 divided by 0.2. Move the decimal, which makes this problem 16 divided by 2, which of course is 8. Put that over here. X equals negative 8. Number 14. I have negative 10 equals negative b over 4. Okay, so don't freak out. Now the variable's on the right-hand side. Remember, that's okay. I was dividing. Divided by what? I'm dividing by negative 4. Remember, this negative can go up here, out front, or down here. In this case, it makes sense to have it down here so I can divide by negative 4 and multiply by negative 4 on both sides and be all done. So I'll multiply by negative 4, multiply by negative 4. That all cancels out, leaving me with b. And here I have a negative times a negative is a positive. 10 times 4 is 40. So number 14 is 40. Number 15, negative 6p equals 48. Divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6, and p equals negative, because I got one of each, 8. Number 16. Wow, we're getting along with pretty quickly on these. Negative 72 equals 8d. Divide by 8, divide by 8, and d equals negative, because I got one of each, 9. Because 9 times 8 is 72. Number 17. N divided by 1 6/10 equals 5. So now I multiply by 1.6. I multiply by 1.6. And n equals, well, 1.6 times 5, 30. And I got an 8. And I've got a 1 spot behind the decimal here. So 1 spot behind the decimal there. And that gives me n equals 8. And a quick double check, they were both positive, so my answer is positive 8 is what n equals for number 17. Number 18. Number 18 is negative 14 4/10 equals negative 0 6/10 times p. So I'll divide, because I was multiplying, I divide by what? Negative 0.6. Negative 0.6. Whatever it is that I was multiplying the variable by, that's what I divide by. So those cancel, leave me with just p on this side. And here I've got a negative divided by a negative, so my answer is positive. And it's 14.4 divided by 0.6. Move the decimal once, move the decimal once, and this problem becomes 144 divided by 6. Well, 6 goes into 14 twice, which is 12. 6 goes into 24 4 times, which is 24. So I'm done. Yay! 24. And it was positive because I got one of each there. Number 19. I have 3/4 times g equals negative 12. Now remember, I am multiplying here. So what do? I divide. Divide by what? Divide by 3/4. But we don't divide by fractions. We actually multiply by the reciprocal. So that means I flip this around. So I'm actually I'm going to rewrite this one over here. When we show this, sometimes it's more clear. Instead of doing it vertically going down, I do it horizontally here. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4/3. 4/3, multiply that side by it. So I have to multiply this side by it, 4/3. Now remember, this is a negative 12/1. So here, 3 and 3, 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 3 once, 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 4 once. So really I just have 1/1. If you didn't simplify, it would have been 12/12. In either case, those both simplify to just 1. So it'll be 1g. That's why those cancel out. Over here, 3 goes into 3 once and 3 goes into 12 4 times. So I have negative 4 times 4 across the top to get negative 16. And 1 times 1 on the bottom, so it's 16/1, which is just, negative 16/1, which is just negative 16. So g equals negative 16. And how did I do that? I multiplied both sides by the reciprocal here, which is 4/3. Number 20. On number 20, I have 8 equals negative 2/5 c. 8 equals negative 2/5 c. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal here. So I'll rewrite it over here. And I'm going to multiply, the reciprocal would be 5/2. Negative 5/2, that is. So multiply by negative 5/2 here, by negative 5/2 here. Well, on this side, these will cancel out, leave me with just c. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive, and then this would be 10 over 10. So positive 10 over 10, which is just 1c or just c. And over here, I can simplify a little bit. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 8 4 times. So I have negative 5 times 4 is negative 20, and 1 times 1 is just a 1 on the bottom. So c equals negative 20. Number 21. Negative 4 over 9 f equals negative 3. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which would be negative 9 over 4. We'll do it right here this time. Negative 9 over 4. Negative 9 over 4. Remember, this is over 1. These cancel, leave me with just f. And here, well, there's no simplifying that I can actually do here. So I multiply across the top. Negative times a negative is a positive, so positive 27 over 4. And 4 goes into 27 6 times with 3 left over. So 6 3/4. Either of those would be a correct answer. Either 27 over 4 or 6 3/4. And finally, number 22. We have 26 equals negative 8/5 y. Negative 8/5 y. So what are we going to do? Multiply by the reciprocal again, which would be negative 5 over 8. Negative 5 over 8. These cancel, leave me with y. And over here, 4 goes into 8. No, 4 doesn't go into 26. 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 2 goes into 26 13 times. Well, that's all I can do for simplifying. 13 times 5 is 65. 4 on the bottom. Now, I did have a negative times a positive, so my answer is negative, of course. Negative 65 over 4. And to turn that into a mixed number, it'll be negative. If my improper fraction's negative, my mixed number better be negative. 4 goes into 65 16 times with 1 left over. So negative 16 1/4 or negative 65/4 would be fine as well. Excellent. Well, that was the review for multiplying and dividing to solve one-step equations. So answer the questions about that and have a fantastic night.